Okay, so we have been in 2021 for over a week now, which means that it is time to do another Booktube Newbie Tag. I'm really excited to get into this one because when I did the original Booktube Newbie Tag, I had literally just started out and things were very different back then to how they are now. So let's get right into it. There are 10 questions. Here we go. Question 1. Why did you start this channel? Well, the reason why I started this channel originally was because I had a goal to read. So coming into 2020, last year, I had gone through 2018 and 2019 having picked up a total of 3 books and not finishing any of them, where prior to that, my life was all about reading. So this was something that I wanted to change. I had a New Year's resolution to read in 2020, and I managed to achieve that thanks to this channel. As for a 2021 answer, I'm continuing to do this channel because it keeps me on top of my reading for many different reasons. It allows me to communicate with you guys and talk to people about books, but it also allows me to get out my thoughts and feelings about not only the books that I'm reading, but also to express my opinions and thoughts in general when it comes to the process of reading. So that's why I've started this channel, and that's why I'm continuing with this channel. Question 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, I think this is a really good question because there are a number of different unique things that I can bring to Booktube, but some of those things may be seen as similar to what other Booktubers do. So while I do monthly TBRs and monthly wraps and reviews and things that other Booktubers do, one thing I can tell you is that I will be extremely passionate when it comes to my videos. So there are some booktubers out there who love books just as much as I do, and then when it comes to doing their videos, they are just delivering it to you as though they're doing a report or something. But for me, I get extremely passionate, especially when it comes to ratings on one side of the scale and the other side of the scale. If I have a 5-star book, you will see my passion shine through when I'm discussing it. If I have a 1-star book, you will see my passion shining through when it comes to it. Another unique thing that I do bring to Booktube that not a lot of Booktubers do is that I am very happy to use all of my stars when it comes to ratings. There are some booktubers out there who really don't want to go any lower than 3 stars, but if I feel that a book is worth 1 star, then I'm going to give it that 1 star. I will also only give books 5 stars if I fully feel that they deserve those 5 stars. Because there are people out there who are now taking recommendations from me on this channel, I do consider that a great responsibility. So while it would be a great idea to say this is a 5-star read, because despite the fact that it's not for me, I think it's a good book for those who will enjoy it, I think for those who are taking recommendations off me and trusting my recommendation, the best thing I can do for you guys is to let you know how I feel and what my thoughts are and base my rating on my own enjoyment level. So that is what I am going to do. A couple of unique things that I'm going to bring to the channel as far as videos are concerned. I am going to be starting a series called the Booktuber of the Month series. I'm very excited about this, and if you want to get involved in this, let me know in the comments below. Basically, once a month I'm going to do one of these videos where I shine a big light onto a booktuber out there and let you guys know all about them. Now, I do have some booktubers in reserve to discuss in these videos, but if you would like for me to shine that light on you, all you need to do in the comments below is let me know a little bit about your channel, the types of books that you read, the types of videos that you do. I will then explore your channel, watch a number of your videos, and talk about it. Now, I am a very, very positive, glasses half full type person, so I am going to lean more on the positive side of your channel, but I'm also going to be extremely honest because I don't think the best thing that I can do is to get people to go to your channel who wouldn't necessarily be interested in the content that you are discussing. Let's face it, not everyone is a fan of fantasy, and if you exclusively talk about fantasy, I do want to be able to be completely honest and say, I think this is an amazing book Booktuber. However, their limitation is that they only discuss fantasy, so if that is not the kind of genre that you're interested in, then maybe they're not the right Booktuber for you. Another thing that I'm bringing to Booktube that is, I'm not the first person to do this, but there is not a lot of people at all who do this, is my You Choose My TBR. This is something that I'm really excited about. So basically in these videos, we go back a year, in the past and see what I read then, and then I give you guys the opportunity to vote on one of the books that I read a year ago for me to reread. And it's a great way for me to have audience interaction with you guys, because you get to vote in those polls and you get to determine one of the books that's going to be on my TBR. One unique thing that I do that I don't see a lot of booktubers doing is at the end of each and every single video that I do, I let you know when I am next uploading, or at least I let you know the days that I do upload my videos. I'm very consistent with that as well. So stick all the way through my videos and you'll know when I'm uploading, and you'll know then when the next video is around the corner. Question 3. What are you most excited for about this new channel? Well, for the new year for the channel, I'm most excited to start really getting back to my roots, which is really interesting because the way I started off things in 2020 was very different to how they kind of ended up towards the end of last year, and I really want to go back there. I want to start reviewing all of the books that I read, or at least most of them anyway. Whether I do spoiler-free and spoiler, or just spoiler-free, I want to be able to discuss all of the books that I read with you guys and not just some of them. I'm also very excited to continue my interaction with you guys. I really appreciated that. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to like and subscribe and leave a comment. It really does mean the world to me. I love this creative side of Booktube, being able to come to you guys and create a video basically out of nothing, and I enjoy the majority of this process that it takes to get videos out to you guys. But when you guys actually take a moment to interact with me, I really appreciate it. It really, you know, finds a special place in my heart. So thank you to everyone who has responded so far to my videos, and please continue to do so. That is something I'm very much looking forward to, subscriber interaction or commenter interaction. Question number 4 is, why do you love reading? Well, this is a very, very interesting question, because I've discussed this with people who know me, and the majority of people who know me say that their opinion of me and why I love reading is because it's an escape. But the interesting thing is, for me, it's never really felt like that's the right reason why I love reading. I don't feel like things are really horrible in my life to the point where I must read a book, because how am I going to survive without some kind of an escape? That's not how it is for me. For me, I connect with books on a very deep level. Now, let's be real. If I don't like a book, I'm going to be one of the first to DNF, did not finish, put the book down, no longer read it. Absolutely I am. That is another unique thing about me. I'm not afraid to DNF. If anything, I advocate putting a book down and no longer finishing it. But if I fall in love with a book, to me, the characters in that book really do become like friends, or even closer, kind of like family with me. And I feel like I'm going on these adventures with them, whether they are literal or metaphorical adventures. So reading to me is about getting to know new people. Yes, it's a fictional world. Reading for me is about spending time with my fictional friends and fictional family and just having a really good time. And yeah, it just really means the world to me. It is the one time where I feel like I can connect to people who are not of this physical world and go through things with them. I don't find I get that with other mediums. I certainly don't get that with music. I don't get it with TV shows, and I don't get it with films, but I do get it with books, and that is why I love to read. That's my opinion anyway. Question number 5. Which book or series got you into reading? Well, the answer to this prior to 2020 definitely would have been Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling was a massive influence of mine. I started reading book 1 when it first came out. I was a little child. My mother actually purchased the book for me. I didn't know anything about it, and all she knew was that there was magic involved. Back then, I didn't even know that I was a lover of fantasy. I just knew that I liked books with magic in them. But if I were to base this on in 2020, what got me back into reading, like solidly back into reading, I would have to go with an author Brandon Sanderson. This entire shelf, which you do not see all of, but this entire shelf is mostly Cosmic Universe Brandon Sanderson, and the lowest rated book that I have for Brandon Sanderson has received 3 stars, so I've never gone lower than 3 stars with him, and he's definitely kept me going throughout 2020, so I highly recommend him as an author. Question 6. What questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? Okay, so my answer to this, I've had some time to think about this, and my answer to this would be, what was the very first book that you read or spoke about on your channel? However, here's the rule, you're not allowed to look. You just have to recall it from memory. And there are booktubers out there that I follow that have been doing this for years and years and years. So it's like, putting you on the spot, you're not allowed to look, no hints at all. What was that very first book that you spoke about? My next question would be, how do you go about the entire creative process when it comes to doing your videos? By which I don't just mean how do you plan the types of videos you're going to do, or how do you go about the filming, like the equipment that you have and all that kind of stuff and everything. But I mean everything from planning to the execution of filming it, to the cutting of the video, to the editing, to the tagging, to the, what do you call them, thumbnails and everything like that. I want to know how they go about doing their process, and more specifically, do you do every single step in that process, or do you either hire out help, or do you have friends that assist you? For me personally, I do everything. There was a time when I hired out my editing, but I don't do that anymore because it got a little bit expensive for me. But yeah, I do the whole lot, and I'd love to know what everyone else does. Question 7. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Well, this is very interesting because 2020, among other things, has really allowed me to see behind the curtain, behind the veil of everything that goes on behind the scenes when it comes to booktube. And while it's absolutely lovely to come to you guys whenever I do, so back in 2020 it was every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, and now in 2021 it's Monday, Wednesday and Friday. It's a lot of fun to do the filming itself, like what I'm doing right now and talking to you guys. This I really enjoy. But everything else that goes on behind the scenes can be extremely stressful for me, as far as cutting these videos down, as far as editing them, as far as doing the tags, as far as doing the thumbnails, as far as planning everything. Everything goes on behind the scenes. Also, there is an implied pressure, but I want to be very specific with this. I feel like there's somehow an implied pressure that all booktubers place onto themselves because we can't help but look at everyone else. And because of that, I'm specifically referring to the amount of books that we feel we should be placing onto our TBR that I believe is 90% personalized to yourself, but also because of what other booktubers do, to read a certain amount of books per month. And there's this kind of feeling that, if you're only reading 1 book a month, then are you really a booktuber? Now, the answer to this is yes in my mind. If you are doing videos that relate to books, then you are a booktuber, even if you read no books that month. But there does seem to be very much an implied pressure to read a certain amount of books, trying to get to at least double digits, which is not easy to do, especially if you have other jobs that you're doing. And then if booktube is another job that you have, especially if you manage everything when it comes to your booktube videos, as I said, from the planning to the filming to the cutting to the editing, to the thumbnails to everything. If you do that, plus you have another job, and then part of your booktube job as well is to read, say, 10 books in a month, it doesn't leave a lot of time to do a lot else. So it does create a lot of pressure. But I think at the same time that we need to consider that this pressure is, as I've said, 90% put on ourselves. It's self-imposed. So one of the biggest challenges for me to overcome in 2021, especially with this channel, is to minimize the stress. Question 8. When did you start reading? And this has got to be the best question that I could be asked, because my humorous answer to this is I believe I started reading in the womb. Like, seriously, I feel like I was born into this world with a book in my hand. But Obviously, that's not the answer unless you're Stewie Griffin. But anyway, for me, I think I started reading when I was really young, and I started reading what I now know is referred to as an audiobook. I didn't know it at the time. Now, here I'm going to show my age. I started listening to Disney audiobooks on cassette tapes. Yes, because they were a thing back in the past. Kiddies, take a look. Yeah, but I loved reading, and then when I was old enough to understand words and what they meant, and to the point where I didn't need pictures and I didn't need an audiobook with me, I probably would have been about 5, 6, somewhere around there. I was reading all the time. In my primary school, which in America you call elementary school, I was the most known student when it came to my library because I was constantly going back and forth to the library to borrow books from my primary school. And my librarians got to know me so well that they would start ordering books in for me. Shout out to the Choose Your Own Adventure series. Oh my gosh, they were a massive, massive part of my life back when I was a lot younger. Yeah, and the same thing happened when I was in high school as well. And then obviously things, continued on as I went along throughout the years. But yeah, I would say realistically, probably about 4 years of age, I started listening to audiobooks with Disney picture book audiobooks. And then from about 5 years of age, I started independently reading without any audiobooks. Question 9. Where do you read? Well, the answer to this kind of varies because it really depends upon where I am. So I have moments throughout the year where Booktube is my only job, and then I have other points throughout the year where I have Booktube and then I have another job that I'm doing. So when it's just Booktube that I'm doing, I have the freedom to kind of roam around here and there and stay at friends' places or at my mother's or whatever. As long as I still do the work, it doesn't matter where I am. The reason I'm bringing this up is because when I'm obviously there, things are different as to where I'm reading. But when I'm at home, I read in my office/study. That's just always been the easiest thing for me to do. Sometimes I will read while my videos are uploading or being converted in my editor. So it just kind of works out that way as it's all part of the one job. So it just works for me. But there are other times where I will purely be listening to a book on audiobook. So when I do that, I love crocheting, which is why I always have my crochet stuff here. And so I will crochet, and the easiest way to crochet is to crochet in my office. So it's just become a habit for me. It is very rare and very seldom that I will read in my room, or that I'll read in the living room or in the kitchen or outside or whatever. 9 times out of 10, or at least 98% of the time, I read in my office. And finally, question number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? Well, I can tell you what my answer was last time I did this. My answer was fantasy. It still is, but 2020 really opened me up to a world of different genres. So number 1 for me is fantasy with a magic system at the front and center, which is why I love Brandon Sanderson. All of his Cosmere works have magic at the front and center, so I appreciate that. But aside from fantasy, a genre that I never even knew existed but was introduced to in 2020, and I can say is definitely one of my favorites, is dystopians, the selection being a dystopian, and there are many others as well. So dystopian being the opposite of utopian. Generally, we're in a world that is ruled by a tyrant. There's a lot of politicking that is going on, a varied class/caste system going on. I love that kind of stuff. Hunger Games, Divergent, Selection, and many others as well. I really came to enjoy dystopians. But yeah, there are many types of books that I read on this channel. Classics is one that I'm looking to get into in 2021. I only read one classic in 2020, which was A Christmas Carol. What else do we have? LGBTIQ plus books. I love them. I have a plan to read at least 12 LGBTIQ plus books in 2021. Contemporaries. Oh my goodness. So in case you don't know what a contemporary is, which is totally fine, I didn't know what it is when I first came onto Booktube either. Contemporaries are your standard everyday fiction types of books. So there's no fantasy or set in a new world or anything like that. It is fictional, but it's just more day-to-day things that people do. I never thought I would be a contemporary reader because to me, coming into 2020, I thought that contemporaries were just boring because they're everyday books. But then I found some amazing authors such as Bridget Kemmerer and Adam Silvera, who do extremely hard-hitting contemporaries with very hard-hitting topics. Literary fiction, books that make you really think while you're reading them and after you've read them, such as My Dark Vanessa, very big one for me. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, which you can half see over there. Yeah, so I have many and varied genres that I do read on this channel. One thing you will not get on this channel is anything to do with J.R.R. Tolkien and The Lord of the Rings. I did not like them. There are certain aspects that I thought were okay, but for the majority of it, I just did not like them at all. So you will not get The Lord of the Rings here. It's not going to happen. Film, book, it won't happen. But you will get, for popular things, you will get Sanderson stuff. You will get a lot of fantasy. I'm hoping to get some 2021 books in soon. I have a ton of 2020 books on me. So yeah, and you also get a lot of nostalgia probably, because if you're the type of reader who reads all the books that come out every single year when they come out, I haven't read all the books that have come out. So I do dip back into like 2008, 9, 10, that era as well. So you get a wide variety on this channel. But anyway, that is the end of the Booktube Newbie Tag. So what did you guys think, and what are your answers for your own channel? Let me know in the comments below. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it. And as I implied earlier, I sign off every video by saying when I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Mwah! And happy reading!